Hello, May class, and welcome to your next science lesson. We will be going a little bit, we'll be going through more about living and non-living things, and we will also be going through your knowledge organizers that I will be uploading onto Tapestry for you to have a look at. So in today's lesson, as well as looking at our knowledge organizers, our learning objective is, can I understand the characteristics of a living thing and begin to understand how they are grouped? We also need to try and stay focused onto our task. So this is the knowledge organizer that's going to be uploaded on to Tapestry for you. And as you can see, it says living things and their habitats, and it also has key vocabulary. It also has the groups of that plants can be grouped into for you. So the first bit is living things can be grouped in a variety of ways. They can be grouped into vertebrates and invertebrates. So a vertebra is an animal with a spine, and an invertebrate is an animal without a spine. And by spine, obviously, we mean the bones down your back. So key vocabulary. So I'm going to say my turn, your turn, and then we will read through the definitions. So organisms, life processes, respiration, sensitivity, reproduction, excretion, nutrition, habitat, environment, endangered species, extinct, classification, vertebrates, and invertebrates. And the meaning of each of these words: so organisms are any living things. Life processes are what living things do to stay alive. Respiration is so breathing, so oxygen is used to change, respiration means that oxygen is used to change food into energy. Sensitivity is how a living thing reacts to any changes in their environment. Reproduction, how a living thing is produced or made. Excretion, how a living thing gets rid of any waste, it excretes it. Nutrition, food that gives a living thing energy and the ability to live. Environment, habitats can be found in the environment. Both living and non-living things can be found in the environment. Endangered species, these are living things that scientists fear may no longer exist in the future. They fear these living things may become extinct, which means there will be none of these living things left. So there are many animals that are on the endangered species list, and that there are very few of them left in the world. And once the ones that are still here die out, there will not be any more of those animals or living things. Extinct is when a certain species has all died. That species is now extinct, it's gone, there are no more of them. Classification. Animals and plants are grouped together based on their similarities. Similarities being how they are the same or they are similar, and as opposed to obviously differences of how they are different and not the same. Vertebrates are animals that have a backbone, so we have backbones ourselves. Invertebrates are animals that do not have backbones. Then plants can be grouped into two different groups of plants. You get flowering plants, like the ones on the left there, and you get non-flowering plants, like the ones on the right-hand side. So, what makes a living thing? In today's lesson, we will be learning about life processes of living things. So there are a certain amount of processes that life processes that things do that tell us that they are living. So although all living things look different to each other, even if they are the same species, there are 7 things. So 7 things that all living things do. So regardless of what kind of living thing they all do this. And these 7 things are called life processes. So say it with me, life processes. Life processes. A thing is only living if it does all these 7 things. So if it doesn't do all these 7 things, it is not classified as a living thing. All living things are able to move. So animals move their bodies from big movements like jumping to small movements like winks. So that is a small movement, but it still means that I am a living thing. Plants turn or grow towards the light. So even though we may not think it, plants actually move as well. All living things are able to reproduce, which means they are able to make more of them. So animals have babies, which is their way of reproducing. Okay. And then new plants grow from seeds. So they are able to reproduce from the seeds that are planted into the ground and then make more of that plant. All things are sensitive. So living things are sensitive to their surroundings. Animals react to changes in the temperature around them. Plants grow towards sunlight and send their roots deeper if they need to find more water. So if where they are doesn't have water, they'll send them deeper to try and find water. Like we said, plants will grow towards the sunlight. They're sensitive to the warmth and the sunlight. And animals obviously react to change in the temperature around them. All living things need nutrition. So living things need food for energy. Plants make their own food using energy from the sun. And animals eat plants and or other animals to keep themselves alive. So nutrition is obviously what we eat, making sure that we're staying healthy and making sure that we are getting all the right nutrients that we need in our bodies. And plants obviously are able to make their own food using energy from the sun. All living things excrete. And we did the digestive system in the previous term. So we know that all things are able to be they are able to excrete waste from their bodies or waste from themselves. So plants and animals both need to get rid of the waste, gas or the water or anything that our bodies don't need. We need to get rid of it. Animals also need to get rid of other waste products. So we looked at that when we looked at the digestive system of a human, when there are things that we don't need, if we've taken all the nutrients out of all the food we need, anything that your body doesn't need is excreted. And the same with plants and animals, any waste gases or water that they don't need is excreted. All living things are able to respire. So think to yourself, what will you use your energy for today? Think what you're going to need your energy for today. So when we respire, it means we are taking in oxygen into our bodies. And plants and animals use the oxygen in the air to turn food into energy. And then that energy is used during the day to do the different tasks that we need to do, like moving, even something as simple as sitting where you are, holding yourself up, paying attention, being focused on this lesson. It all takes up your energy. When you get up out of your chair to move around the room, to go to the kitchen, that all takes energy from your body. And so we need the oxygen in the air to turn the food that we've eaten into energy. All living things are able to grow. So young animals grow into adults and plant seedlings grow into mature plants. So to be classified as a living thing, you will get bigger. And while we know that there are really small animals out there, when they're born, they're probably even smaller. But animals do grow, plants do grow, they get bigger. So like we said, the little seed grows into mature plants, into trees, into bushes. Small little animals can grow into large adult-sized animals. A way in which we remember these 7 life processes is with a mnemonic, which is taking the first letter of each word and creating another word to remember it. So we are going to take, so the 7 processes that we need are movement, reproduction, sensitivity, growth, respiration, excretion, and nutrition. And if we take the first letter of every one of those life processes, we get something we call Mrs. Gren. So say it with me, Mrs. Gren. Mrs. Gren. Now, Mrs. Gren then stands for the M is movement, the R, reproduction, the S, sensitivity, the G, growth, the R, respiration, the E, excretion, and the N, nutrition. So we take each one of those, and that is a good way of trying to remember the 7 processes that you need to classify something as a living thing. So when you're unsure of if something is classified as a living thing or a non-living thing, these are the 7 things that you need to go through. So I have an example here of my little plant that I have been growing for quite a while in my kitchen. Okay, so we're going to go through the 7 processes and we see if it counts. So does it move? Yes, it does. It moves towards the sunlight. You can see from the way that it's actually grown that it leans forward to this way a little bit. That's because that's the bit that is aimed out of the window towards the sunlight. So does it move? Yes. Is it able to reproduce? Yes, it is. So this in itself was a small little seed and it started to grow, and I can actually replant some of this and it will grow. Little bits of it would then grow into another plant. So reproduction, yes, it does reproduce. Is it sensitive? Yes, because it doesn't have a huge amount of space for it to grow. It won't grow too big because the roots obviously can't go too far. But again, like we said in the first thing, it's sensitive towards the light. So it grows towards the light. It grows towards getting the light on it. So it is able to move, it's sensitive towards the light as well. This plant, particularly the kind of plant it is, if I overwater it, it can actually die because it's a succulent plant. So I need to be sensitive about how much water it takes. It doesn't need a huge amount. Does it grow? Yes, it does. Does it respire? Yes, it does. Does it excrete any of the gases that it doesn't need? Yes, it does. And does it get nutrition? Yes, it does. So like we said in the last one, with the nutrition, plants make their own food using energy from the sun. So it does get nutrition from the sun. So we can classify this as a living thing. So your tasks today are as follows. The first thing I would like you to do is create a poster of one of the life processes we have looked at today. So we've looked at 7. I want you to create a poster on 1. Be sure to take a picture of it and post it onto Tapestry. Please also make sure that it is neatly presented. I know that you're at home and it does make a bit of a difference with what you have there, but I would like you to try your best to create a poster. If you're able to do it online, you can do that as well and just share it with us. Task 2, I would like you to record a video explaining your poster and upload that onto Tapestry. So you're going to create one about one of the life processes, and then you are going to explain what you have drawn or about the poster you've created and uploaded on Tapestry. The last task I'm going to give you is the following. Record a video talking about what living things you may find in the wild or in your local environment. You can choose to write instead if you're unable to make a video. Can you mention living things we may not find in our local environment as well, maybe? And then you can share your findings on Tapestry. So think about the living things that you have in the wild versus the living things that you have in our local environment. So is there anything that you can look at and think, oh, that's actually a living thing, and I hadn't thought about it? Okay, so don't forget to share with us on Tapestry all of this information. And if there's anything that you're unsure of, you have the opportunity to join our live lessons and we can chat about it. If you are unable to join our live lessons, please do make comments on Tapestry and then we can try and help you as best we can.